Now is the time. A time you'll look back on. A time you adopt as inspiration. You will recollect this time. This moment, right now. Motivate yourself towards success. Overcome. Take over. The time is now.
Oi, oi. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Evening. It's Monday. It's 7 o'clock.
It's Loaded Football Weekly. Oh, no, hang on. That's the old one, isn't it?
That's the old days.
It's a top band. Oh, no, that show's gone.
How is everybody, lads?
Good, mate.
Yeah, good. For Monday. Yeah, it's quite a week this week, hopefully. Yeah.
4 more days and 7 weeks off. Cannot wait.
Bye, Pete. We don't want to listen to any of that.
Yeah.
I know, yeah.
Too many holidays for teachers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you know what? Like literally, you come back from its holidays, and then there'll be like the train drivers. Oh, lads, time we went on strike. Pays not enough. Do you know what I mean?
Always.
He'd be coming back with his snidey fucking Balenciaga fucking flip flops and snidey t-shirts from Turkey. Him and fucking the other fella, the better looking one, and then he'd be fucking straight on strike. Do you know what I mean?
I'll be honest with you. I'm taking an empty suitcase for that reason.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you exactly, mate. I'll PayPal you some money, mate, and get the snidies in.
Why not?
Yeah, two, an away shirt and a third, please.
Now it makes sense that you said that you'd buy all those third kits as you could afford. Yeah, suitcases full. Yep, makes sense now, Pete.
Exactly. We got to get this season's giveaways from somewhere.
Love it.
Let's get into it, lads. I'm assuming someone's going to run the comments, but yeah, let's get into it. So let's talk a bit about. First of all, I should say I've got about 10 topics, and we'll spend about 5 minutes on each. But let's go and talk about Botman first. Of course, we over a week ago now we did a Botman show. I think it's like 4 off 10,000 views now. So hopefully that one gets over the line. Our first show that would reach 10K. So yeah, Botman finally arrived. Put pen to paper and said all manner of good things. Yeah, we're. Did you complete all that brandy, Pete?
No, I've saved the Hennessy. I'm back on the E&J special at the moment. But yeah, I've saved the Hennessy for the next big signing. So yeah, I've still got a good chunk of that bottle left. Just ready and waiting, chilling nicely for the next arrival, where we can toast another welcome to Newcastle. So looking forward to that.
Cool. And of course, I'm sure you all saw the videos and stuff. I think it's Wednesday that he checks for preseason training and stuff. So I'm sure we'll be another few videos out, shaking hands and meeting all his teammates now, I guess. So anyone wants to say on Botman?
I thought his interviews were really good. I thought for a young lad, he came over really well. Well able to conduct himself. I think if you take it from the last week or so before he signed, even the deal in principle, people were having a fucking meltdown on Twitter. He's not signing. Why is it a deal in principle? He's off to Milan. He isn't off to Milan. I think those interviews, kind of on the Friday when that went through, and you listen to him, it shows quite well, I think, that, he absolutely, he was flattered with Milan coming in from, but he's seen the project. He met with Dan Ashworth, sees where Newcastle can go, wants to progress. And as the lad said himself, he's extremely happy, and signing a contract is one of the best days of his life. So he'll get the support from all of us. And I think he'll be an absolute monster this season. I think he'll settle quite quickly and quite well. I think he'd be well able for the pace. And I think anybody, if anybody is going to be a bully this season, I think he will bully a few strikers. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing him play. And glad he signed. I think it's a great signing for the club. Shows the potential, and those that want to come. It's a snowball signing. I think more will just come off the back of that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Him and the likes of Bruno on trips. It's savage.
Yeah, just to follow on from what Martin said. Yeah, I completely agree. Like, he was the one. He was the one we all wanted. He was the one that we saw. I know we keep using this phrase, but he was the one who we saw as our Vincent Kompany. He's the player who we all had our eyes on, and we knew that like he would kind of open the doors for other players. It's like, even, you know, we're getting linked with the likes of Moussa Diaby and players like that. They're going to be looking at Sven Botman rejecting AC Milan and coming to us and thinking, oh, you know, maybe I want a bit of that. They've already got Bruno Guimaraes, they've already got Kieran Trippier, now they've got Sven Botman. Add another 2 or 3 quality players to that. Who knows where we can go? But yeah, you know, he came across really well in the interviews. I thought it was telling that he said, you know, he was excited about playing in the Premier League. You know, not to take anything away from us as a club. I'm sure he's looking forward to playing Newcastle, don't get me wrong, but I think it was telling, you know, that he mentioned 2 or 3 times that, you know, it was an ambition of his to play in the Premier League, which he believed to be the biggest league in the Wales. And you know, I think he's absolutely right. And I think that's helped us get the deal over the line, because what player doesn't want to play in the Premier League? So, you know, I think it works out well for us. Really pleased we've got him, and yeah, can't wait for him next season. I think he's going to be the one that really kicks us on and makes us transform from a mid-table side to a side who are pushing towards the top 8.
Pete, you have nothing to say about Botman. You've talked enough about him, yeah?
I've talked about him for the last 9 months. The only thing I'll add is that I don't think people realise how good he is. I think people are going to be genuinely surprised. I think a lot of people have been talking him up because he's been a signing for Newcastle recently. I don't think people realise how good this lad is at 22 years old. I just don't think people realise.
I think you're right, Pete. I think there's going to be, as the season gets going, I think in particular from other fans of other teams, I think there's going to be a few games where there's going to be fucking wow. Hang on a minute, they've got some player here. Yeah. So I'm quite looking forward to that. I hope it's every team this season says that.
I think it will be. I think there'll be like Bruno Guimaraes. I think the likes of Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, all need centre backs. They're all going to be looking and thinking, and fans of those clubs are going to be thinking, why the fuck have we not signed him? Why did we not get him at £32 million? And that's why I'm saying is that I think we are going to be shocked and surprised. Not me, but fans of Newcastle that haven't seen him play are going to be genuinely shocked. There's all this talk of, Burns should be dropped for him, left-hand side. I think you'll see very, very quickly why he will start regularly on the left-hand side and why he's a significantly better player than Dan Burn. For as good as Dan Burn has been, this guy is better and significantly younger.
And Pete, you said the exact same thing about Bruno. And we believed you. So we're going to believe you on this one as well. Right. Chris, I'm going to give you a choice. Do you want to go down you're at a crossroads here. Do you want to go down the route of who we're definitely not signing, or do you want to go down the route of who we might potentially sign? We're going to do both. So
let's start it on a positive. So let's talk about players who we may sign.
We may sign. Okay. Well, I'm going to start this with the news that dropped, I think it was Friday evening, and it came via Ben Jacobs and Tielemans. And I'm going to cast your mind back, first of all, to the 6th of October. We got kind of news that might potentially the takeover might go through. We had Ben Jacobs on with us, and we were very, very happy. And this is the question I asked Ben at the time.
You're very busy. Just one quick question. We talked about Chowdhury in the summer window. I want you to now name your price for Tielemans. What do you want for him?
I want 2 things: 140 million,
and a Newcastle shirt,
and Pete to give up Newcastle for Leicester. He won't move unless Pete switches his allegiances.
I tell you what, that's going to arbitration.
It doesn't need to. It's not happening.
Guys, have we got a couple of questions?
Yeah, we have.
So
That was
what's it
class.
like being
That was class.
what's it like being a Leicester fan?
You can fuck off. I've said it time and time again. There is only one team I hate more than Sunderland, and it's Leicester City. So there is no way I will ever support that club ever.
That's your windows getting put out while you're away on holiday. Chris can give you a good glaze. His has happened every fucking weekend where he lives.
Pete, let's go to you first then. And thoughts on that potential signing? Do you think it'll happen? And how happy would you be if it did?
Okay, well, I'll talk about if it does happen first and foremost. If it does happen, he will complete the midfield. And for me, he is a supremely talented midfielder. Underestimated midfielder. For me, he's a top 4 midfielder. So the fact that he's got a year left on his contract, the fact that we could potentially get him for the price that's been mooted would be a no-brainer for me. Whether we need a midfielder, whether it's a priority position or not, if he becomes available, we get him. And I think he'd be a tremendous signing. I think him and Bruno would run games themselves. I think they would dominate possession. I think you've got 2 players there that can score goals. Tielemans can score goals from deep. Bruno can be the one that gets into the box, but Tielemans can do it too. So you've got 2 really dynamic midfielders there. And I think Tielemans would thrive playing for Newcastle United. And it doesn't surprise me the links of all of a sudden Tielemans being all set and pigeonholed to Champions League football, but all of a sudden could be interested in Newcastle because he experienced what we experienced firsthand when I was at the game against Leicester at St. James's Park. That atmosphere on that day and what he would have been watching and seeing, like it would make any player think this would be amazing to play. You know, I saw an interview with on Pete Graves' podcast with Les Ferdinand, and he talked about playing at Newcastle for QPR the season before he signed, and he talked about, wow, how good would this be to play at Newcastle United? Tielemans, I think, would be in the same boat, and he knows we're not playing European football, but I think with the players that we've signed, he's looking and thinking, it won't be too long until we play European football if I was to sign there. Now, I'll go into, do I think it's going to happen? And I was excited with seeing the links earlier on yesterday, thinking, oh, okay, there's links, there's words being said. But then when I looked into it a little bit more, they were mentioned in an international break, which was a few weeks before, way before we were even linked to Tielemans, which has made me think that maybe they've been kind of manufactured a little bit to fit the Newcastle narrative. And Newcastle fans have been excited, and I know people in the chat might not be happy with that, but I'm just thinking logically is that I'm not getting too excited about it because I genuinely think that actually they've been manufactured to think that it's the project of Newcastle United because of the recent links in the last couple of days. But actually, if you said that 3 weeks ago, it's not really related to Newcastle. And we've got to remember he is massively open to an Arsenal move more than anyone. So a lot of players, Gabriel Jesus as well, sees Arsenal as a project. It could quite easily be them. So I'm not getting too excited about that. But as a player, like it's undoubted is quality.
So yeah, you're matching the quotes to the Arsenal project as well. And of course, yeah, I think Ben Jacobs said it as well there the other day that he believes that if Arsenal do come in, they haven't come in with it because they've been talking all year. If they do come in with the offer, then he would probably end up at Arsenal. But who knows?
Fabio Vieira. They've already signed Fabio Vieira, who can play centre midfield. So that's why it throws the Tielemans deal into doubt, because why would they sign 2 centre midfielders to play a very, very similar role? And I think that's why maybe he's been linked with other teams recently, because Arsenal are maybe looking in a different direction.
Interesting. Anyone else want to get in on Tielemans?
Yeah, I mean, I just to touch briefly on what Pete just said. For me, the advantage we've got is because everybody said that Tielemans was off to Arsenal, and obviously Arsenal did not secure Champions League football, so it's not something that Arsenal can't offer him that and we can't. And obviously, I know in the last couple of days he's mentioned project, the quotes have come up in the last couple of days about a project. And Pete's right, he will have seen from every Premier League player, especially because obviously they'll watch, all the Premier League football. They will see what's going on at Newcastle, and they will see that in 2 years' time we're going to look a hell of a lot different to what we look now. The one crumb of optimism I've got is that when Leicester signed him, I remember thinking, wow, how have they managed to get hold of this lad?
Yeah.
He's a good player. He's a big prospect. He took the plunge. He went to Leicester, obviously looking at Leicester's project at the time, bearing in mind, they'd won the league. They were progressing. They looked like a club on the up. So he's probably looked at that and thought, why not? And we're probably in a similar position. Okay, we've not won the league, but we're going to actively move up the league reasonably quickly, I'd say, over the next 2, 3, 4 years. So it's, we'll pay the wages. And I think he'll see us as an interesting proposition. And obviously, if it was a choice between us and Arsenal, he probably would still choose Arsenal. But as Pete's just alluded to there, perhaps Arsenal aren't, maybe they've gone cold on him. Maybe they've looked at the price and thought, because correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, wasn't Silva about 20 million?
Yeah, no, I think he was a little bit more than that. I think he was about 30 million.
Oh, was he? Right, okay.
Yeah, I think he was a little bit more. I could be wrong, but I think he's a little bit more.
Yeah. But I mean, Tielemans is probably going to be 30, 40 million, something like that. So maybe, maybe they've looked at it. Maybe they've looked at the wages. I don't know. Maybe they've decided to move elsewhere. So maybe his agent's just trying to drum up a bit of interest. I'm not sure, but I think he'd be a fantastic player. And it goes back to what I said, Pete, at the end of last season, when we were talking about Joe Willock. When I was saying, I look at Joe Willock, and I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying that I dislike him. But when we're talking about levels, as soon as you start mentioning the likes of Tielemans, Eriksen, Paqueta, that I see him as the final piece of the jigsaw, like you've said. If you've got a midfield of Joe Linton, Bruno, and someone like Tielemans, Eriksen, Paqueta, that's when it goes up a level. And I'm not saying that Joe Willock isn't going to be a part of the squad, isn't going to be involved in things going forward, but it's different levels. It really is. As soon as you start talking about players like that, I think that's what sets them apart for me. I mean, I don't know what Daz, I don't know what you and Martin think, but that's how I see it anyway.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love him to rock up at Newcastle. Like it was the first person I thought of. Okay, because we had been on the show, obviously, and I thought, okay, who would I want to take from Leicester? I know at the time Martin was talking about Maddison. I just thought Tielemans for me, because again, I link back to my football manager days a number of years ago. I used to always bring in Tielemans because I used to love him. But yeah, so that for me it'd be a dream signing. I know our priority is right attacker and a striker, probably ahead of Tielemans. But yeah, I'd love to see him rock up. Martin,
do you know the other thing I was just thinking about while I was listening to you talking there is, God forbid, but if Bruno did get injured, you'd kind of want somebody like a Tielemans to still be in your team.
Yeah.
So, would you love the two of them together? Absolutely. As Pete said, it completes the midfield. But what it also does is it gives you a bit of an insurance leverage that if one or the other got injured, you've still got a really good midfielder kind of running and bossing that midfield. So for me, I think, if we could get that deal done, then I think for a player of his quality, as we've spoken before, it's a fluid situation. And if, the club has said, if a deal comes up and it's right for the club, then, they'll go after it. So I think it will be a great deal for us, but I think it gives us a little bit of security in that midfield as well, which I think could be crucial over a long season if we want to try and push further on. So I think he'd be a good addition. Whether that money is there, if Moussa Diaby is the priority, maybe. I don't know if he's got options with Willock and he's got other options there still, I guess. Hard to know, but I think for that money, if it is kind of the mooted 30, 35 million, I think it's a good deal to be had for a player of that quality, and it gives you that insurance. So probably not a bad deal.
Definitely. No, I would. Just a reminder to people as well to hit that like button. It really helps us. There's about 200 and something, 250 or something in the chat. Hit that like button, and it really helps us. And if you're watching this back as well, just hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, everyone has subscribed already, but you know where it is. Red button, bottom right hand corner of your screen.
There's one question from Mad Mag Mark with regards to the
Yes,
Tielemans
easy
situation. I just thought I'd throw it in there. He's put, has Ben Jacobs been instructed by Leicester City hierarchy to draw interest in Tielemans by name dropping Newcastle this week, as Youri has stated he won't sign another deal with them? Has it been something that's been drummed up? Who knows? What's your thoughts?
It's an interesting theory.
I think look, we're all sitting there. Like I looked at some stuff to Twitter today. There's some journals putting out, Newcastle have a whole heap of Alfonso Lisiero. Newcastle loads of targets, but won't do anything until they sell some players off. Absolute fucking horsewash. I think if a deal is right for the club, they go out and they do it. I don't think we're not reliant on selling players. So if you're reading that on Twitter from whoever it might be, Fabrizio Romano, any of those saying Newcastle need to sell to fund their transfer window, it's bullshit. We don't need to do that. We are no longer a selling club at any level. Would we like to get rid of some dead wood? Yes. But
yes. A lot of it.
Absolutely, a lot of it. But
we drum up some interest for them.
We don't need to be a selling club. The problem with that, and I put it up on Twitter earlier on, sure, who's going to fucking buy them? We can't move anybody on. Do you know what I mean? Anybody that's watched them under Bruce and watched us last season, the first 14 games, you look at them and go, who the fuck would want to buy him? But I wouldn't be listening to some of that nonsense anyway.
You know what, Mark? It's a really, really good point, and it's something that I hadn't really considered until just recently. And you've just touched on it there. Is that you look at some of the dead wood that we want rid of, and actually nobody's interested. That for me is a massive worry. Dwight Gale, a goal scoring like machine at championship level, nobody's even coming for him. Nobody. Like Matt Ritchie, an experienced head on playing right, left wing, left back. If you really want him to in the championship, he probably do a job there. You've got other players. Federico Fernandez, experienced centre back. We rate him. Some of us have put him ahead of Lascelles. I know, Chris, you've done that. You've said that I'd take him ahead of Lascelles. Mark, I think you've said the same. Like, he's a good player. I really like Fernandez. And you could go through the team. There are so many others. Nobody's coming in from it.
Do you think there's a touch though, Pete, that other teams or other managers are looking at that? Okay, take the Bruce effect. The first 14, 15 games of whatever last season with Bruce, and then the first few games under Eddie Howe. Do you think that some of those players reputationally have damaged themselves with that season last season? In that, okay, Steve Bruce was what he was, but there was an awful lot of those players didn't fucking step up either. So is there a lot of managers sitting back and saying, these lads have no bottle? If I'm a Norwich or I'm a Fulham, so why would I go for Lascelles? Why would I go for, probably out of all of them, Matt Ritchie, I would have said, is probably the only one with a bit of bottle. But Jeff Hendrick, the rest of them, Kieran Clark, is there anybody going to take them? I think there's a lot of managers in lower leagues, championship and maybe bottom premiership looking at them and going, not worth the fucking money, lads.
Yeah.
I think we'll just see ourselves releasing contracts. I genuinely do not think we'll sell that many unless it's last
at the same time though,
a couple of mil.
At the same time, everyone knows that we want to off those players. It's not a big secret. Like, so they're going to wait and try and get the.
You can sit there till the last day, transfer deadline day, and try and do a deal for Clark for 1.5 million to fucking West Brom or anywhere else. And Newcastle at that point, purely to get them off the books, will take whatever they can get. Be like a bit of a fire sale, but I just wonder is there a bit of damage done with as I said, with managers looking at some of those players and going, not for me. These lads have got no get up. They got no bottle. They got no team ethic. They don't work as a team. Not what I need for my team.
I just want to add to that, and I think, Mark, you've made a really, really good point, is that you look at the likes of Kieran Clark in January, where he wasn't given a squad number and yet didn't leave. That sits badly with a lot of managers out there because they're looking at players and they want exactly what you've said, Mark. They want players that are hungry, that want to play football.
Yeah.
We've had so many players, not just at Newcastle, but just at so many teams, good quality players over the years that have just sat on their wages and just sat on the bench. Ross Barkley's a prime example of that.
Yeah, not even getting on the bench, Pete. Some of them, not even they're training with the fucking reserves and getting paid.
Ross Barkley.
Why would you want to go anywhere if you're Clark? He probably knows he's not going to get anywhere near the money he's getting now. He's sitting, turning up twice a week for training, not even in the squad. He's probably making what would he be on? 50 grand a week?
Yeah, close to that. But
why would you want to go anywhere?
And that's the thing. It's like I get that, but
no ambition.
No
ambition and drive is gone for them to go, fuck this, I'm not sitting there, I'm off, I'm getting something new.
And that's what championship clubs or teams that have just been promoted want. They would want to play, you know what? Yes, I might lose 15, 20 grand a week, but I want to play every week because I love playing football and I'm passionate about playing football. And if Kieran Clark had any passion about him, he'd have gone, you know what? Thank you for everything, Eddie Howe. I appreciate it. I'm going to go and play football. Dwight Gale would have done exactly the same in January and gone, you know what, thank you. Maybe less for him because we had Wilson out, so we probably needed to keep him. But I would have expected Dwight Gale to do exactly what Isaac Hayden did in that really early on in the window, go, you know what, thank you for everything, Newcastle, but I want to go and play football for the last 3 or 4 years of my career and really enjoy playing football week in, week out, scoring goals, and then maybe the money will build up if I perform at that level. And he didn't do it, and he still hasn't. And he's, as far as we're aware, he's turned back up to preseason training. Yeah. Fernandez turned up for preseason training. I bet Eddie Howe must be thinking, fucking hell, like, his contract runs out. I think his contract has run out, and he's still training. He's still turned up for preseason. It's like, you just can't, like, with all due respect to Fernandez, like, good player, but you want him gone. Like, you don't want him still at the club. And he's still there, and like, you're still having to watch him train and work with him. And it's like, hold on, your contract's ran out. Just go sign somewhere else. But it's like, it's such a difficult situation. It really is. It's like it's
Nathan Stapleton in the chat makes a really good point here. Pete says, no surprise then, lads, that Hayden was the first out the door. Right attitude, right player.
Exactly.
Absolutely, Nathan.
And that's why the fans love him.
Bang on the money.
So who's going to tell Fernandez, or do we have to sign another centre back just so he gets the message? Let's see. We've kind of segued off, but that's good. Yeah. That's what our plan tonight. No, that was our plan. We're just going to kind of ramble about
me and Pete diverging. Yeah, sorry.
Look, let's throw another few names that have been linked for a while or recently out there. Let's go for Broja. Maybe I'll give you all three. I'll give you Diaby. And in the Chronicle today, Hedara was mentioned again. And I know we'll be going into more in depth on the Fully Loaded Transfer Show. But Anthony, you want to say about any of those? Maybe we'll start with Diaby because you were saying something, Martin, at the start about just before we came on air about Newcastle's interest, I guess.
Yeah, so it is quite a few tweets. It seems to be gathering a little bit of momentum, a little bit of pace. So Pete Graves has tweeted there tonight, good friend Pete, friend of the show, tweeted tonight to say that NUFC are definitely interested in Diaby. His name is on the list. He is a player that they would like to secure. I think a couple of weeks ago, a lot of the chatter from Diaby's side was he'd no interest in moving. He'd no interest certainly in coming to Newcastle. That seems to have changed somewhat in the last few days. He seems to have softened to a move certainly to Newcastle and wants to now play in the Premier League. I think if he would appear to be the current target for NUFC, certainly the one that's in the crosshairs. So seems to be gathering pace. Quite a few people tonight, quite a few of the usual journals putting tweets out saying that certainly a lot more chatter around Diaby to Newcastle. So for me, yeah, absolutely. If we could get him, listen, we got Bruno and we got Botman, but I think if Newcastle could pull off a deal to get Moussa Diaby to St James's Park, I think that's probably one of the biggest signings we will have done in years and years.
Yeah.
But yeah, gathering pace. I don't know. Pete, Chris, what do you think?
Go on, Chris, fella.
Yeah, no, I'm again. I hate to sound like I'm repeating myself, but this Diaby signing, as Martin's just said, it feels like another big one. And hopefully, the Sven Botman effect will hopefully play a part in that. When you look at Moussa Diaby, it was funny actually because I was talking to someone about him recently, and
Your window guy.
no, it wasn't my window guy. It was another blue. I've got too many blue mates, and he was saying to me. He was saying to me that, and again, he follows German football far more than I do. But he was saying to me it'd be interesting, Diaby, because he's been on quite a rise over the past couple of years, because he actually played second fiddle allegedly to Leon Bailey when he was at Leverkusen. So he said like he's come out of nowhere. Obviously, he's in the French first team. He's in the national squad. So and the stats, I think it does. I think it was you or Martin who mentioned it before. Like those stats are unreal. Playing in the German league, but he just feels like again another player who's levels above what we've got. You're thinking of Miggy Almiron, you're thinking of Jacob Murphy, you're thinking of Ryan Fraser, and he is head and shoulders above those three players. And again, when you look at our front line, if you've got Callum Wilson, you've got Alan St. Maximin, you've got Moussa Diaby, and then with the three behind, Big Joe. You've got Bruno, possibly Tielemans, possibly Ericsson, possibly Paqueta. All of a sudden, you're looking at that team, and then you're looking at the spine, and you're going Sven Botman. You've got Nick Pope in goal, who's an improvement. Certainly in terms of the likes of Darlow and stuff like that. But all of a sudden, the team's starting to come together. You've got Steady Eddie in Matt Target, who had a fantastic season on loan with us, and it's all just slowly piecing together. And I feel like that right wing position, I never thought I'd say this because at the start of the window, how I all felt about Hugo Ekitike coming in. And I was saying, we need that striker. We need that main man. We need someone who's going to really challenge Callum Wilson. And for me, Ekitike was very much a punt, very much someone who, would offer an option on the wing, in my opinion. Like the way he's built, he doesn't look like a proper number 9. So for me now, I'm starting to look at that right wing position. I'm thinking, imagine if we're getting goals and assists from that right wing, and you're putting the ball in the box to Callum Wilson. The right wing feels really important to me now. So Moussa Diaby, he's the next big target. I mean, if we finish this transfer window, if we'd have spoke, January or even the start of this window and said, by the way, forget everyone else, you're going to sign Moussa Diaby and Sven Botman, I think we'd have all snapped your hand off. And the fact that we're going to be upgrading in other positions as well is just an added bonus. But I hope we get him. He's definitely the number one target for me now. Brozier, I'll just very quickly touch on him. I mentioned Brozier way back when. I think it was in January, because I've been watching a lot of the Southampton games for some reason. I think it was just they were on the telly or whatever. And whenever I saw him, he just looked a threat. And the fact that he was getting chosen over Adam Armstrong, and he was the one who was partnering Shea Adams up front, that spoke volumes for me. He's only a young lad. He's got a lot of potential. And again, he ticks boxes where, when we were talking about bringing in a striker who's going to challenge Callum Wilson, possibly not someone who's going to come in and go, I should be starting over Callum Wilson. I think if Brozier came in, he'd come in on loan, obligation to buy, option to buy, I don't know. But I think he would... He's a quality improvement on the likes of Woods and Gale, but he's not somebody who would come in and go, I should be starting week in, week out. And I think that would be the bonus of having someone like Brozier, because he's only a young lad and he's here to, ply his trade, learn the game more. And I think he looks a fantastic prospect. He really, really does. So for me, bringing in the likes of Diaby and Brozier would just be incredible.
Mint. Lovely. Pete, any of the three you want to talk about, or all of the three?
Yeah, Moussa Diaby will be just a tremendous signing for Newcastle. It's been very, very clear for a long time now that Moussa Diaby is, or should I say, the right wing is a priority position. I think all the journos have said it, that when Newcastle fans are saying, we want a striker, that actually all the journalists, national journalists, and the ones close to Newcastle are saying, actually, the priority for Newcastle is the right wing. And that's what they want. They want somebody who is dynamic, somebody who can contribute goals and assists to the team. And like Martin and Chris have alluded to, 25 goal contributions this season, 13 goals, 12 assists. It's unbelievable. That is like top level. That's a top level performer for a winger or an inside forward. It's like, it's crazy. So if we could get him in, that just transforms us. That takes us to another level. To be fair, you talked about Leon Bailey. For me, that type of performance is better than Leon Bailey, in my opinion. And for all the money that Villa spent for Leon Bailey, we could potentially get Moussa Diaby for a lot less. And actually, he would be an even better signing. Now, he's going to go to the World Cup. So just by him going to the World Cup, could expand his value as a player just by the fact that he's going with France, and they could genuinely win it, which could then move him on even more so. So I think that's a deal that has to be done. And the longer he keeps getting linked to Newcastle, the better I feel about the potential of that deal getting done. And if I'm going to spend the majority of my money anywhere, it would be on someone like Moussa Diaby. I would. If it was me, I'd spunk the whole lot on Moussa Diaby and get a couple of loans in to complement that and see us out for the season. That's how sort of important I see that type of deal being done.
It's got to do us half a season until we spunk another 200 million in the January window, lads.
Well, of course, that goes without saying, but you're absolutely right.
Is there an option, Pete? I was watching some videos of him over the weekend, playing for Leverkusen, and there's a few times over the season he's played centrally in a front three, which I found interesting. So when I was watching, I was kind of sitting back and I was thinking, do you know what? It's kind of like the Sterling effect at Man City. How often City have played without but just from a point of not playing with a known striker. As such, they've kind of had that pace and that threat coming from midfield with Sterling, coming in left side or right side, in particular left-hand side and coming in. But Sterling has played a good few times for City as well, quite central. Off that striker's role with Foden behind him or with Kevin De Bruyne behind him. So I thought it was interesting just to watch some of those games where Leverkusen had effectively a left and right winger and Diaby played more central.
It's an interesting point you make, Mark, because there's been rumours, or I've heard it on the grapevine that Newcastle are very much looking at wingers who can kind of play anywhere across the front three. And I believe Ekatike, I can't believe I said Ekatike. Ekatike,
you sound like Baz.
I've watched too much of Paul, haven't I? I believe Ekatike was of the same mould. And, as Pete's just said then, right wing appears to be the priority. We've seen it with City. We've seen it with Liverpool. The fact that they've got that interchangeable front three. And funnily enough, this season, Liverpool and City, I think they've both now kind of, nailed their colours to the mast because they've both gone for out and out number 9s. But maybe, we'll have that option with Callum Wilson. But in terms of the wingers, if Callum Wilson's not available, knowing the fact that, his injury record isn't the greatest, we could have those players that could play in that number 9 position. And maybe Moussa Diaby, you're quite right, Mark. Maybe that is the kind of player who could do that.
Salah played most of the season on the right-hand side. Didn't play central at all. It was flex between him. It was flex between Diaz when he came in.
Mane was in there as well.
And Jota as well. So that 3 to 4 strikers and wingers, that rotational piece, if Eddie Howe wants to play 4-3-3 or pull back fractionally and go 4-4-2, he can rotate that round whilst in game without having to make the substitution. So I think
and we've seen Maxi
there's an option to play Diaby through the middle. Yeah. I think it gives us options.
The one thing I think, actually, with you saying that, in terms of getting, if someone like Moussa Diaby came in, for me, I don't think he moves. I think he stays on the right because of how effective he is. He's a little bit like a Ben Arthur. He's more effective in there. However, I actually think Ryan Fraser moves on to the left-hand side. You saw what he did against Brentford. He was outstanding on that left-hand side. And actually, he is traditionally a left-sided attacker. And I think there'll be certain games where Ryan Fraser plays on the left and Moussa Diaby could potentially play on the right, and Maxi doesn't play at all or plays down the middle,
plays through the middle
as an alternative. And I think that's what would happen, because I think with what Ryan Fraser gives you, he gives you ultimate balance in the team. He gave us balance on the right hand side. And it's not even his favourite position. But what he would do is certainly give you balance on the left hand side. And you've got great delivery with both. You've got both players that can run at players. You've got both players that a striker, whoever it is, whether it's Wilson, and I'll get onto Brozier in a second, could make a run and know that that ball's getting into the box. Now, that would then be up to Alan St-Maximin to say, right, hold on a second. I want to perform. I want to play every week. I'm going to show you what I'm about. And it'll be up to him to do that. But what we've got is interchangeable players that can play in those positions and still be effective. And we're not then holding our hat on Alan St-Maximin.
Exactly. All of a sudden you have a front five with options.
Yeah. And it goes, and actually it brings us nicely into Brozier, because the one thing I wanted to touch on Brozier, and I was of the mindset that Brozier was an out-and-out striker, and I was like, yeah, Alan, Armando Brozier, Callum Wilson, they're your two strikers moving forward to the season. But then when I looked at his heat map, he actually doesn't play as a central striker.
Left-hand side.
Look at the way, both. He plays both. Yeah. He comes off the left and he comes off the right. So he's not that traditional striker. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if we sign him, he could be an out-and-out striker, but then could we potentially get him to play on a wing if Moussa Diaby doesn't come through and we sign another striker off the back of that? There could be that option too, because he can. If we play that front three where we've got those two wingers, and look, I'm talking hypothetically here. If the Moussa Diaby becomes, we get priced out of that deal, we could get him on a loan for cheap and go all out for a top level striker. Who's to say that that's not an alternative potentially in the making? But it was interesting to see that. I mean, look, super talented player. Chris, you've talked about him. You wanted him and you mentioned him in January. He scored goals in the Premier League. He's had a great season for Southampton. Tailed off at the back end of the season, but so did Southampton. They were dreadful. They all did. So I'm not going to hold that against him. I just think it's going to be an interesting couple of signings. Who was the third player?
I know, I forgot the third player.
Hadara.
The thing with Hadara is, if I'm right in thinking, he's got a release clause, which is still quite hefty. But look, he's a tremendous player. He really is a tremendous player. More deep lying, more like a Yves Bissouma, that sitter. So it would tell you a lot about where we're going if we brought him in as a bit of a sitter. Maybe transitions Shelvey out the team, and it allows the likes of, Bruno, Joe Linton, Willock, whoever comes in to push further forward. I think that would tell us about where we're going as a team. But I think it's a very fluid situation. Do I see Haidara coming? Probably not to Newcastle, but he's a player that we've clearly looked at because he was linked to us in January.
Yeah, and that's where the Chronicle picked it up today as well. But we'll move on. So from that, do you want to say something, Martin?
No.
Okay.
Move on, mate. No.
Let's go to who's not coming, and it's Christian Eriksen. So Christian Eriksen looks like he's going to Man United on a 3-year deal. Interesting.
Yep. Ronaldo's replacement on the cheap.
So he's definitely not coming to Newcastle. What's your thoughts on that, lads?
Yeah, as I said, Ronaldo's replacement on the cheap. Ronaldo's going to go. No, I know he's not a striker, but I think Ronaldo's away.
Yeah.
I think he's gone before either part season or certainly near the transfer window. I can see him going back to Portugal somewhere, Sporting Lisbon, or see out a season. I think he's. I know Man United fans will be up in arms because he's seen as the saviour, but I think his time is done. I think he's. I think he'll go back and do maybe a season, 2 seasons in Sporting Lisbon where he started and move on. So it'll be interesting to see. But look, if that's where Eriksen wants to go, I think it's. I don't get the move myself, but I think somebody put in the chat earlier on, there's a little bit on Twitter saying Man United and a couple of these other top 6 are kind of inflating the wages and signing players. I think there's a few clubs who are a little bit worried about what little old Newcastle are doing. Yeah. And that's why we're seeing inflated wages and the likes of Eriksen going to Man United, because I don't think it can't be for game time on a 3-year deal. I wouldn't have thought so. Is he going to do 3 years? Best case scenario, he's Juan Mata's replacement.
You know what's really interesting about that is that Christian Eriksen is a supremely talented player, and he
Okay,
should
yeah.
be playing Champions League football at the very least, in my opinion. It would have been an absolute, like a Bruno signing if we'd have signed him. But what I find interesting about that is that Christian Eriksen plays the same position as Bruno Fernandes. And it just strikes me of another situation where Pogba and Bruno Fernandes pretty much couldn't play in the same team because they played exactly the same position. I'm finding that it's going to be exactly the same situation again, that Bruno and Christian Eriksen play in the same position, and there's going to be this fight for the same position again. Only one of them can play in the number 10 role effectively, and it's going to be a chop and change. And it just doesn't make sense for me. I know there's history there because before he went to Tottenham, he was going to go to Man United, and then it kind of fell through. But it just for a lad that's suffered what he suffered in the last year, I would have expected him to go somewhere to play regular football. And I just don't think, with Bruno Fernandes being the focal point and on 350 grand a week, just signing a brand new deal, is he going to be the focal point? I don't know. I find it a bit of a weird sign.
He'd actually been better to stay at Brentford, where he would have been a guaranteed starter.
Yeah. Watch Bruno Fernandes come back into it now again if Ronaldo's off, because he was playing class before Ronaldo rocked up, and then he kind of downward trajectory. But I was hoping that Ronaldo would stay at Man United, because if he did, I just think that their rebuilding would slow down. And
I think their rebuild still is another season, 2 seasons away. Daz, I think they'll struggle again next season. I know that sounds bad, but I think they'll be in that top 8 somewhere. But they're not going to be Champions League. I'd be surprised if they're pushing. They're certainly not going to win the league for a few more years.
So I think it's
too many egos.
I think it's a funny move. I really do. And obviously, I wish Eriksen all the best, and I hope it turns out well for him. I don't wish anything. Obviously, when Man United come calling it, I can kind of see why he's making the move.
Wages, money, man. It's money.
But then on the other hand, I look at it and I think, because let's be honest, with Ten Hag, if he doesn't get in the top 6, and even top 6, some fans won't be happy with. If he doesn't get in that top 6 next season, everyone's going to be going for him again. It's like a poison chalice, because unfortunately, Man United fans, they expect a certain level, and you can understand that because over the years they've been a fantastic club, but they've been in a mess for years now. And I think they're all hoping that Ten Hag, who's coming in, he's got a great reputation, he's done it in the Dutch league, but it's like, has he managed these egos before? No,
I don't think that. I think the other side, Chris, is I don't think the manager matters. The club is in a mess from the top down.
Yeah, from the top.
And I think it's like having Ashley.
Yeah,
until the club is sorted out and it's resolved internally, I think Man United will struggle on the field. And I don't think it doesn't matter what manager comes through. And I still say, and I think I've said this on a couple of shows, I still believe whatever manager comes through that door, that all the time that you've still got Alex Ferguson creeping around those halls at Old Trafford. I don't think any other manager stands a fucking chance. I don't.
Well, Bernardo said before he joined Man United, he was speaking to Ferguson. Ferguson was warming the deal up, and it's like, well, so what's the manager doing then? What's the current manager doing? It's not good.
That's part of the problem. Well, it is. It's good for us. Long may it continue.
Good for us. Yeah, good for us.
Let them suffer.
Let them suffer. The Meadows suffer long enough. Let's move on. Another topic. I want to talk about Callum Wilson. Are you giving him another contract? He's got 2 years left, and his contract expires June 2024. He is 30 now, so that he'd be 32 when it expired. Are you giving him a new contract?
I'll start this one. No. And the reason that sounds really harsh, the reason I say that is because I think Callum Wilson next season will be interesting. Let's see. Maybe I'll change my mind come the end of the season. I don't know, but I think it's too hasty to offer him a contract now. Because let's be honest, lads, Callum Wilson gets to 32. He's going to look a lot different in 2 years than what he looks now. And who knows what's ahead. I'm a big fan of Callum Wilson. Like when we get linked with the likes of Calvert-Lewin, I put Callum Wilson above Calvert-Lewin. I think he's been very unlucky to miss out on England squads, probably down to his injuries, probably down to the fact that he was playing under a Mike Ashley Newcastle, so he's been overlooked. I think he's a really, really good striker, but I think in 2 years' time, we'd probably be looking to move on the likes of Callum Wilson, if I'm honest. And if we go now, if we went to Callum Wilson now, or even at the end of the season when Callum, new contract, what are we going to add a year on? Maybe 2 years? He's going to get a pay rise, and then we're then not going to be able to move him on. In 2 years' time, are we going to have Callum Wilson as a first, second choice striker? I'm not so sure. I really don't. As much as I like him, and as much as I'm made up, he's our striker next season. And if he stays fit, he scores goals in that team next season, and I'm made up with that. But
I think that's the key, Chris. Right on the head. I think there's two things for me. He's got to stay fit, because at the minute, like last season, he's made a bloody glass. So I think if we let's just say hypothetically we add Diaby, and we've got all this pace running through the midfield. Let's say we add Tielemans and everything else. Wilson will get you 20 in a season.
Yeah.
If he can stay fit with that supply line. If he can't score goals in that team, if that's the supply line, then he doesn't deserve that contract anyway. But he is extremely good at putting the chances away. But now is not the time for a new contract. Absolutely not in my book. I think, look, he's not going to be the main striker in two seasons' time. So why do a new 2-year deal? I don't get that deal. I wouldn't be one I'd be doing anyway.
Before I go to Pete, the biggest Callum Wilson fanboy on the planet for the last couple of seasons, I'm shocked at you, Chris Hall, and you're a changed man. Just one name, Andy Carroll. And the sentimental value you put towards Andy Carroll.
I've got more cutthroat, Az. I've got more cutthroat because I'm looking at our trajectory. It's these signings we're making, and I'm thinking,
Chris has got more cutthroat. Welcome to the dark side, Christopher.
Federico Fernandez, get off.
Pete, Callum Wilson.
For me, Callum Wilson gets a 3-year deal. And I tell you why. Is because what you do, you secure not just a talented striker for another 3 years, but you also secure him not necessarily to be the first choice strikers, but to be a squad striker.
Like a Gale, but a far better Gale.
Yeah. A more motivated, better quality Gale. Because what you're gonna see in the next 2 years is a transition. What you'd like to see anyway, and what you'd expect is that he starts this season as the main man, but in the summer of 2023, we sign a striker that's going to be the main man, and he then plays second fiddle, and he sees out then the next couple of years after that being second fiddle, but being a part of something that's still going to have him at the top end of the table, that's still going to have him as an opportunity scoring goals, and still gives him an opportunity to win trophies, which ultimately he's been lacking in his career. And he's talked about it in so many interviews, the fact that he's not won trophies. He's got an opportunity at Newcastle United to win trophies, and I don't think he's going to want to leave anytime soon, regardless if he's the main striker or not. And I think he's going to want to see out the next 3 or 4 years at Newcastle to see if we're in a position to win trophies, so he can get his hands on something.
My question to you, Pete, just to add a little something in there, just want to ask you a question. So you're saying about the 3-year, which I'm not opposed to. I totally get you thinking, and what you've said makes absolute sense. Do you think in 12 months' time, when Callum Wilson's got 12 months left on his contract, do you think Callum Wilson will be looking to stay, or do you think he'd be looking to go? Because I would counter what you've just said, which I agree with, but I would counter what you said in that, do you think we hold the cards now? Because players under Ashley, it was like, oh, it's time down, like Gale, oh, time down, we don't want to leave on a free. Whereas I think Callum Wilson is going to be thinking, oh, God, I hope to God to stay at this club. And do you think it's going to be a case where he'll want to stay more than we want him to stay, if that makes sense? Because I can't see anybody else taking him off our hands, as in him going, oh, I'd rather go there. I just genuinely don't see it.
100%, and he won't be the only one. I think a Joe Willock will be exactly the same. I think we'll be in the same boat 12 months' time with the likes of Joe Willock, unless he has a monstrous season, which a lot of fans have said they expect him to have a really good season, and I hope he does. I think Callum Wilson will know, and this is why he's so motivated to have a great season at Newcastle, because having a great season at Newcastle will cement him at this club for the next 3 years, and ensures that he stays at this level for the next 3 years. If Callum Wilson has another injury-ravaged season, nobody in the top half of the Premier League is going to take him. And there'll be a lot in the bottom half of the table that won't consider him because of him being an injury risk. But if he has an injury-free season and bags loads of goals, Newcastle would have already given him a new contract by then. So he'll have probably a pay rise and an addition of a year or two on his contract. And he'll be laughing because he'll be sitting back at 33, 34, knowing that his contract's set until then. And then at that point, at 34, he might go and play another year at somewhere. He might even go back to Coventry and end his career where he's from, and see out his career there and go, you know what, great career, I'm off, with maybe a trophy or two in his back pocket. That's what Callum Wilson, I think, will try and do. So I think giving him, look, he's got 2 years left on his contract. Giving him an extension of a year or two is not the worst thing. He's only just turned 30. It's not the worst thing in the world. If we have him until 34 years old, I think we will manage him a lot like other players have been managed in a lot of other teams in the back end of their career. We did it with Alan Shearer, didn't train every day. We managed them really well to ensure that he doesn't train every day. We look after him and we get the best out of him. But the one thing I'll add to that is that we've got to remember he had 2 years without playing football when he did both of his ACLs. So in his mind, he's still fresh. He's still fresh because he's had 2 years of not playing football. Mm-hmm. So he's not had that physical exertion and that battering of 2 years.
The rest of the body is still good.
His body, I mean, look, he's in great shape. He trains hard. He trains well.
There ain't nothing wrong with the instincts.
Exactly. And as long as that continues, why not use him? I think, Paul Oxley put in the chat, made a good point. He thinks he could play until he's 35, and I'm inclined to agree with him for that reason. Is that as long as he looks after himself, and he always does, he could be in a position where he could play until 35. He makes that point there. Extreme athletes play longer in football nowadays. You look at Ronaldo and various other players, they're playing until later on in their careers. And I see Callum Wilson as being that type of guy.
I think the other thing to be mindful of as well, sorry, Daz, just very quickly, the other thing to be mindful of is that our medical team is now performing a lot better. Something I've griped on for the last 2-3 seasons about the bloody medical team. Obviously, is improving as well. Yeah. So yeah,
and it's going to get better with Dan Ashworth in there as well. Yeah. So in summary, we're giving Callum Wilson a contract, but we're going to see how he performs this season before we offer it. So that's compromise. We're all good with that. Yeah. Good. Okay, aboard Callum Wilson. Look, maybe we'll just go to shout because I want to do a few shout outs and then we'll go back into more topics. So I want to shout out to actually our new sponsor. I saw Martin is in the chat. Machine House Marty is in the chat. So tell us all about it, Martin. Our own Martin here.
There's too many Martins now. It's getting confusing. So yeah, Machine House joined up with the guys. So kind of few weeks back, I've seen these guys popping up on Twitter. Really love the look of the clothing range. Newcastle-based company. So I did my normal thing, which was to drop a DM, be a little bit cheeky. And to be fair to Martin and the boys, they wanted a bit of detail about us, about the channel, what we do. So I banged them on an email to him and the lads. Martin's originally from Scotland, now living in Newcastle, and he's got the family and everyone involved in Machine House. So yeah, Machine House have agreed to join up and have become a good headline sponsor along with the other guys we got. So you can see some of the top quality clubber that's on there. The guys are delighted. I know he's in the chat tonight. Real good merchandise. So again, it's a local Newcastle company right in the heart of the city. So get on there, get some kit. Really good value and absolute top quality. So Martin and the lads, delighted. Welcome to the Loaded family, lads. Great to have you on board.
Welcome aboard, Marty. Shout out as well to Shy Barnes, shybarnes.com, and the range that Simon has on offer there. Simon's always in the chat as well. Have you seen him tonight? Has he gone missing? Maybe he thought it was an 8 p.m. kickoff, but also
he's printing t-shirts.
He's also stocking the don't get overloaded Loaded Mag NUFC t-shirt and also cups and water bottles as well. So go check that out via.
I think we need to give him a bit of a decent shout out as well, Daz. I was actually thinking about this the weekend. The work that he puts in on the range, in particular the Loaded range, getting that up at short notice, getting it online, everything he's doing. And let's not forget, if you haven't already been online and got yourself a t-shirt or something out the Loaded range, 50% of all the profits go to the Newcastle United Foundation. So it's a really good cause. Little bit comes to the channel to help us absorb the costs of the stream and other things we do, giveaways and everything else. But he puts in an absolute shitload of time working Shy Ben. So Martin, Simon and the guys, listen, fair play. Thanks very much, buddy. All the work that does go in, we do appreciate it massively. So get on there and get yourselves a T-shirt. Look class for the summer. So I'd say hopefully we see a few shots from Turkey in a week or so. Pete and Lee Davey in their loaded T-shirts whilst they're walking the streets of Turkey, buying snidey third shirts to sell when they get back.
And of course, here
it is.
I'll take it with me. I'll be taking it with me.
That'll be hitting the high streets of Fethiye pretty soon.
Nice one. Also, shout out to Pins and Prints, Dean, and the range that Dean has. You can go check out the latest online, and also to Retro NUFC. And I know he's on holidays at the moment. He keeps showing pictures of his hats, his bucket hats on holidays. But yeah, check out the latest range he has. It's always constantly changing. But that's a shout out to our sponsors. Did you want to give an update on your jersey, Martin?
So yeah, first thing. Well, I think an interesting thing is I've seen, and I'm sure you guys have seen, loads of chatter about Castor over the last while since the release. So for those that are oblivious to anything that goes on within the Newcastle world as such on Twitter. So the first thing is Sports Direct released both the home and the third or the alternate kit before the club shop did. So there's the first one. So that goes back to my piece I was talking about last week about the links to Mike Ashley and where is he involved in Castor and everything else. Then we've had people that have gone up on Twitter and I've had people sending me pictures. So I said I would have a little chat tonight about it very, very quickly. Really poor quality tops stitching coming through. Yeah. Stitching on the collars uneven. Really, really poor. People getting shirts with no sponsors on. Just really, really bad service. So anyway, I tried to get a one of the white top that Chris got from DHK. I tried to get a proper one. Couldn't get one from the club shop. So I ordered one from Castor on the 3-day international service. Over a week gone, no sign of my fucking shirt anywhere. So I emailed Castor last week, and I got an email back from the concierge at Castor to say, really sorry that you haven't received your order. Our warehouse are working extremely hard, but we are under pressure, and we hope to deliver your shirt. And I was like, okay, when? But it doesn't actually tell me. It just says they hope they do deliver it. Well, lads in Castor, I hope you do fucking deliver it, because you bastards cost me £100. So much for your 3-day service, so much for your delivery, so much for your customer service. And the whole better never stops. I think there's probably quite a few Newcastle fans who've got issues with your tops. Is an absolute load of bollocks. But anyway, here's hoping for a new shirt supplier for next season, because Castor are not cutting the mustard in my view.
Do you know what I found weird, Bart? And do you know what? I've never done this before, ever. And obviously, I've heard all the horror stories. I've heard people getting Rangers shirts with Newcastle badges on, and Newcastle shirts with Rangers badges on, and like
I've seen pictures of Rangers shirts without crest on.
Yeah,
and the wrong logo, the wrong sponsor on Rangers kit going out.
All weird stuff like that, and stuff that you don't expect. I even saw like the black and white, the home shirt, and like the lines were like out completely. I don't even know how that happens. But like it was weird, because when I was in the club shop on Wednesday, and I went and got my shirt from the club shop, but what I did, and I've never done before, is when I got it, I was proper studying it. I was checking the stitching, I was checking the badge, I was checking the lineup, I was checking like whether it was all in sync. And then afterwards, I got it, and then afterwards I was thinking, why have I even got to do this? Like, I've never bought a shirt before in my life and thought I better just check everything sound with it before I purchase it. And I'm thinking, how bad's that? How bad is it that you've got to like get a shirt and go, I need to just check everything, even Simon? Is it mad?
It's not like the thing for me is it's not fucking cheap money.
No, it's not.
Do you know what I mean? Like from my perspective, like by the time you order it, you pay the extra bit of tax to get it across to Ireland. You then convert from pounds to euros. Like that 65 shirt cost me 100.
Yeah, I'm afraid to order it now.
Yeah, and then you're paying. I paid an additional tenner for a 3-day delivery service. Like it's fucking like, lads. Like everybody works hard. You know, I was listening to Alan Shearer there the other day. He's talking about people from the northeast. You know, everybody goes to work. Every single one of us goes to work, works hard 5 days a week. Well, Chris does 4, but 5 days a week, most of us. And you know what I mean?
I do, Barry.
Where are you? Where are you today, Chris? Oh, lads, tell you, fucking traveling up and down. I'm on the train. I'm fucking like Annika fucking Rice selling product up and down the fucking country. Not sure what he's doing. But like everybody, no, all jokes aside, everybody works hard for their cash at the end of the week. You sort out the kids, put your money aside for the holidays, you do your bits and pieces. Newcastle fans, like we live for this moment when a new kit comes out. And if it's really good, you want to spend your hard-earned money and you want to buy it. And for some of the shit that's been turning up on people's doorsteps, it's fucking not good enough. It's not good enough. The club really, in my opinion, needs to step up here and get into Castore and go, listen, lads, ain't good enough. Because some of the shirts I've seen on Twitter, they should be fucking refunded.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
It should.
Absolute joke.
As well. Martin rants. I like it.
I like it, yeah.
This is what we have to listen to the whole time. Every day.
Haven't ranted for a long time, but I think value for money, lads, we're not getting it. And I think it's not on. People are paying hard-earned money and it's not good enough. Simple as.
Just another few things as well. Look, I'm gonna, because we are said we do an hour, but just another few little bits is pre-season began. The lads are back, as we mentioned earlier, so back in training, going through their checks and getting back in shape. Well, they shouldn't have been out of shape but just over the summer months, get back into the swing of things again after their summer break. So great to see that. And of course,
I'm presuming that jump up thing. I'm presuming they do that in a place that's got a much higher ceiling for Dan Byrne.
Yeah. He does it outside.
And he's measured against the wheelie bin.
And of course, then we've got our preseason games coming up, so the list of them there. So first, I'm starting it's behind the closed doors was the 9th, so 5 days time. So interesting.
A hell of a fixture list, that, and isn't it nice to see? Was being really tested. I mean, especially the last 3 games. They're difficult games, and it's great. And the last 2 home games as well before the season starts is great. So no, it's really good. It's really refreshing to see that, because I don't know about you lads, but it always felt to me like it was a bit of, get the map out. Who can we play? Who's nearby? Oh yeah, go on, we'll play them. Oh yeah, Carlisle. Yeah, Gateshead. Oh yeah, that's it's great that it's great. It's great that we're testing ourselves against top quality opposition, and it'll set the marker then for the rest of the season, I think.
Yeah, cool. Although there is quite a few people giving out about the price of tickets.
Yeah.
Pricing's not great. A few people making points tonight, given what's going on with cost of living and everything else. Some of the pricing's not good for some of the tickets.
No. On the touching, and Daz, I don't want to go totally off topic here. I know we want this when you do an hour, but I just wanted to ask, what was your view, boys, on the and I don't think we've ever really touched on it. But what was your view on the the whole 1,000 season tickets, and we have 30,000 waiting in the queue, and I know there was a lot of people, and then obviously we had the membership one as well, and I know there was a lot of people who were very upset with how that was ran, and it was probably the impossible task for the owners. But do you think it was ran well? Do you think they're going to do something similar going forward, or do you think that there's a better way of doing it?
Yeah, it was always going to be the case. There's going to be a massive queue for it, but I'd say people are probably logged in multiple different browsers as well. Maybe that might have brought up the numbers, but yeah, there was massive demand for it. And then even for the membership, even though you could get the membership the next day or a couple of hours later, but I think everyone just saw or heard the queue about the queue the day before, so they said in case they don't give out membership.
But the weird thing was they actually sold out of memberships. They had to switch today to virtual memberships. So the physical membership that, like me, I got, Daz, you got, because we went straight on and fuck that, get me a membership. I'll never ever get a ticket, but I'm getting a little wallet with a plastic card in, if nothing else this season. So we physically will get the pack, but within a few hours, they were doing a reduced price, $25.99 for a virtual. So you don't get the pack, the wallet, and the card, and the welcome pack. It's literally just an email to say you're a member for $25.99. So they had to change it. So they did physically sell out of membership packs.
Wow.
It's man.
Who's doing the membership packs? Castore?
Yeah, well,
I'll
never get mine if there's anything to come by.
I was really lucky because I got a membership pack as well. I haven't had one for a few years. I was never going to get a season ticket just because I don't go to enough games, and financially it just wasn't viable for me this year. But I managed to get a membership and then get my little daughter a junior one as well. So managed to get both of them sorted. So, but we were lucky because, like Martin said, you go on a bit later on, and everyone's saying they're no longer available, and you've only got the other version, the digital version, which is
it was a tenner in the difference, I think, Pete, because I think that the full packs were $39.99 or $39.95 or something, and then the other ones were down to $25.99. So yeah, Paul obviously says I might get it for 23-24 season, probably along with the shirt, Paul.
just a few more things before, and then we'll round out for tonight. So people probably saw it on Twitter that we purchased a football club.
We bought a football club.
Kinda, not really, but that's what we're saying. So we're now in partnership, as well as being in partnership with Machine House and the rest of our sponsors as well. We're also we're sponsoring Concert AFC and a new team that's being put together. It's really Richie that could explain this better than me, but Martin, do you know how to explain this a bit better? Or I know we're going to have Chris come on at some point.
It's a subsidiary, so it is part of Concert AFC. They do play, because I took any amount of shit over the weekend as soon as people seen the Wayside bit alongside our badge.
I know.
So they do play. It's a newly formed team as part of Concert. It's predominantly their reserve and under 23s. They approached us looking for sponsorship for 2 years, and we looked at it. Pete, to be fair, always makes a really good point about what do we get, as the channel. What do we get? Where are the gains? It's got to be, something reciprocal. But sometimes you just got to do stuff at a grassroots level that helps the team, helps bring on young ones, lets them put the boots on. All of us have either played at some point or coached and done things. So as a channel, we've just seen it as a really good opportunity to sponsor a local team within the Northeast, up and coming, hopefully getting grassroots football where it needs to be. So we've put a little money into the club. We hopefully will be getting some shirts from the guys at Concert AFC, and Loaded Mag, the logo is going to be on the sleeve of the home and away shirts for the next 2 seasons. So that's what we're doing. Put a bit of money into the club. Hopefully it helps them. They'll do a bit for us with regards to the program, directing people to the site, a bit of billboarding and all the other kind of stuff. But once we see those shirts and training tops out this season, hopefully we'll get some. You can get online again if you like that kind of thing and get yourself a shirt or a training shirt. But it just helps grassroots football. So Loaded Mag. We didn't buy a full club, but we've put a bit of money in to help the team along for the next 2 years. So a good cause, and good for a local team in the region as well. We couldn't afford to buy a patch for Newcastle sleeve, so we thought we'd let Noon take that one. So we thought we'd invest a little bit down the leagues until we grow a bit bigger.
Next season.
Next season, yeah. Well, 2 seasons. We promised Concert. Now we do 2 seasons. So
hey, we'll be able to get a Sunderland one in a couple of years, Matt.
2025.
Yeah, the same league as Sunderland.
Exactly.
Right. Let's also just mention as well that we are now on Spotify as well. So if you want to go look for Loaded Mag NUFC, you will find us on Spotify. That's there, and this show will go up there as well. And so we better tell people what's coming up this week. So debatable whether it'll be Wednesday or Thursday yet. It's a moving target at the moment. But Pete, what's coming up?
Yeah, the Fully Loaded Transfer Show is back. So really looking forward to having Jordan join us to talk all things NUFC. And as we've already discussed tonight, there's a few moving targets on Newcastle's radar. I'm sure there'll be a few more between now and Wednesday or Thursday, looking potentially like a Thursday, but we'll confirm that. And really, really good. Look, it was a fantastic show last Thursday with Pete, Graves, and Lee. Massive viewers. Really, really, massively thankful for everyone that's tuned in and watched the show. 9,000 and rising with regards to views, which is brilliant. And look, we're all back again to talk more NUFC. So I'm really looking forward to that. Should be a really good one.
So is Jordan, if you can see him there on both sides there. Yeah, there he is. The corners. So that'll be a good one during the week. And then on Sunday, we have a special. We've a new guest. Pete, tell us about this one as well.
Well, I've been talking to Roberto Rojas. If you don't know him, he's a very well-respected journalist, Paraguayan journalist who's followed Miguel Almiron's career from South America to the MLS to Newcastle United. So he's got a lot of respect for Newcastle United and their fans. Regularly interacts on social media, and I've been having a chat with him. He is super excited to come and join us on Loaded Mag NUFC to talk about Almiron, talk about his journey, but also to talk about where things might have or possibly could have gone better and what he sees for Miggy in the future. So we're going to pose some questions to Roberto. So like I say, there's a little bit of a time difference. So Sunday 7:00 is the perfect time to get him on. And like I say, super excited to be involved and to join Loaded Mag NUFC. So come and join us. Get your questions in for Roberto Rojas, whether it's about Miggy, whether it's about MLS players, whether it's about South American players, because he's a guy that knows his stuff. So he'll be able to answer all questions. And you know what? It's something a little bit different. We like to do that on Loaded Mag NUFC. We like to get, people on that offer something a little bit different. And this guy specializes in South American football, and in particular Miggy, who, is a really, really lovable character at Newcastle United. So it'd be nice to talk about Miggy for a change.
Yeah.
Just want to end on three things. One is thanks to anyone that has become a member. I see a few people popping up and being a member, or anyone that has donated in the chat. Thanks very much for that. And we've got someone asking how you become a member. There's a button underneath your screen you're looking at. I've never seen it on the phone, even though some people have said they've seen it on the phone. But it's definitely on laptop or PC. And it says join. So that's the button you press, and it'll allow you to become a member then. And then you get into our members prize draws, which we have to run at some point. We'll get Richie back on with us again.
Yeah. I have to just add this in because I had starred these, so I apologize that they've come on a little bit late. But Kai Svain has also become a member earlier on in the show.
Cheers, Kai, mate. Well done.
Yeah, fantastic to join us. And also we had a donation from Will, $4.49. And he asked the question, I might as well ask it to you guys now. If we were to get Diaby, what centre forward would you play with him? I'm assuming Will's thinking about who we could potentially get in. So, what do you think, guys?
Dream scenario, Osimhen, but
Osimhen,
that's not going to happen if we get.
What's the other lad? Skamaka.
Yeah, I'd say Skamaka or Bruja.
Or Isaac.
Who I'd pick. Or Isaac.
Oh,
take your pick out of those 3 or 4.
And his new 3-year contract. The Pete's giving.
What about you, Pete? Who would you say, Pete?
Dwight Gill.
Is he still in Newcastle? If he is, he shouldn't be.
Look, he will be.
Yeah, I think what you guys have mentioned, Brozier, for me, is a top striker. I think it'd be really, really useful. But if you're looking at ready-made players, Osimhen is a no-brainer. Isak at Real Sociedad, no-brainer. Jonathan David potentially, if you want to invest that type of money, he's an alternative. For me, there's money in Moussa Dembele at Lyon. You could probably get him for 25 million, is what Lee said earlier on in the window. So there are other strikers out there that you could choose. We've got the benefit of choosing any one of those strikers and them coming in and instantly improving the squad. So if we got any one of those, it would be a fantastic piece of business.
Good call there from Kenzie, says Belotti.
Belotti, yeah, of course.
Free agent.
Me and Chris talked about him on the free transfer show. He's a no-brainer. But he's going to have a lot of suitors, for sure.
Okay.
Neil, thanks for becoming a member as well. I don't know if we thanked
Top
Neil,
stuff.
but yeah.
Thanks,
cheers,
Neil, as well.
Top
Just
Cheers,
as we close out, just a reminder to people that the Toon review is currently ongoing at the moment. So when this show finishes, get yourself onto the Toon review and give him a sub as well. And anyone that hasn't done so yet, hit the like button as well for us and push us up the rankings. But we'll be back on Wednesday or Thursday, so keep an eye out. They may change on YouTube, but we'll be back at some stage. Thanks, everyone. What are we finishing on?
Thanks for watching, folks. Yep.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah! Okay.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I need 2 cans of beer to fucking smash together.
Yeah. I wish I had. I don't want to use this glass up and smash it together.
No.
It is.
How?
Right, guys.
Good luck.
We'll talk to you midweek.
How?
Good luck. Have a good evening.